ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ कारणशरीरं किम् अनिर्वाच्य अनादि अविद्यारूपम् शरीरद्वयस्य कारणमात्रम् सत्स्वरूप अज्ञानम् निर्विकल्पकरूपम् यदस्ति तत्कारणशरीरम्. So we are basically seeing the definition of the I. So see, the definition of I is so long. I is very big. Therefore, so definition involves many aspects. Certain aspects of definitions are definitely in terms of negation, as well as what really I am, that also has been told. And now we are seeing the negation part, and that is Karana Sharira Vyatiriktaha Atma, the Atma which is free, distinct from the causal body, free from the causal body. Means whatever the attributes are there, those attributes, and as such the causal body itself I am free from. That's all. So this is how a journey of freedom. Journey of freedom involves what you have taken yourself and which you are really not, and then feeling a sense of a bondage. Well, you have to get rid of it. That's all. Because basically it's a sense of bondage. There is no bondage. It's just a sense of bondage. What I am not, I take myself to be. Then I feel bondage. Well, then basically it's a hot potato. Drop it. So that's how they say, dropping the hot potato. No, my hand is burning, Swami, my hand is burning, but drop it. That's how the moksha is a purushartha. Freedom is a purushartha. It doesn't come just by grace. You have to, because if it is in your hand, and if a teacher tells you to drop the hot potato, and still if you don't drop it, well then definitely, there is no solution. The solution is what you are not, definitely drop it. But Swamiji, I am not able to drop. Well, that's how the whole Nididhyasanam is, for dropping it, what you are not. Definitely. Because of a very, beginningless time, these bodies I have taken it as myself in every janma, definitely. The ignorance being beginningless, and it won't go unless a knowledge takes place. Therefore, definitely these samskaras, Dehatma samskara, Deha Atma, Eva samskara. This Deha is me, and therefore there is no distinction between I and the body. That's how our experiences are. And therefore, basically this, this kind of a study makes you free, makes you free from what you are not, and thereby you yourself will enjoy the freedom. Moksha is not an event. Moksha is something, it's an understanding. It's a complete understanding of what you are. That's all it means. And therefore, as you drop, as you become free from this the notion what you are not, you enjoy the freedom. That's how it is. Anyway, so Anadi, we have seen this part, Anadi, beginningless. We have also seen this avidya is anirvachya, which you cannot call it as a, existent, which you cannot call it as a non-existent. Existent means self-existent, which you cannot call it as existent. It is there, you cannot call it as a non-existence, because you experience also. You experience ignorance as well as you experience the effect of the ignorance. Error, which is born out of ignorance. Well, that also is a matter of an experience. And therefore, basically, so we cannot call it as a non-existent. And we cannot call it even existent, because in wake of knowledge, where it goes away. So, we should say it is not independently existent from Atma. Which is not existent, which cannot be non-existent, is always existent dependent upon something. That is how the third category arises. Which is not existent as such, which is not non-existent, then still you find it is existent, that existence is borrowed from something else. If existence is not borrowed, then it must be existent, self-existent. If it is not self-existent, and then it is not even non-existent, well then if still you say the ignorance is, well then isness comes from something else. Yeah. So that is how ignorance is non-separate from Atma. That's how it is. And being non-separate, definitely, it creates a notion about the self. Ignorance being non-separate from the Atma, and thereby even the bodies, etc., also being non-separate from the Atma, their confusion is going to arise centered on the self. And therefore you take the body, etc., as yourself. The gross body as myself, and means I am the gross body, I am the subtle body, I am the causal body. These are the confusions born of this ignorance, which itself is non-separate from Atma. Then Swamiji, what else is non-separate from Atma? Everything is non-separate from Atma. Everything in the creation, whatever, even a concept, even your imagination, anything, any fancy, everything is non-separate from Atma. Atma is self-existent, and everything is existent due to Atma. Therefore, concept is, consciousness is. Fancy is, consciousness is. Sound is, consciousness is. Object is, consciousness is. Sun is, consciousness is. Without consciousness, nothing is. Nothing is. And therefore, the very isness comes from this Atma. So, for not only ignorance, everything is called anirvachya. Anirvachya, which you cannot call categorically, it is existent. You cannot call it categorically, it is non-existent. Whole creation, which is an effect from the ignorance. Well, the creation and the effect and the cause, ignorance, both are of this type. They are dependently existent upon this Atma. Atma is self-existent. And what is non-separate? Definitely, well, we don't want to extend here, but anything which is non-separate is really speaking, is nothing but a form, so-called form of this Atma alone. What is non-separate from Atma is a form of a Atma. That's all. Everything is a form of a Atma. And therefore, wave is non-separate from the water. We can say that this, it's a form of a water only. That's all it is. Pot is non-separate from the clay. We can say it is pot is nothing but a form of clay only. That's all it is. Nothing else. And therefore, the whole creation, varieties of the forms and varieties of the names, all entire universe is basically names and forms of one thing, which is self-existent, which is real, which is self-shining, and everything is existent with the help of, and everything is revealed, of course, with the help of this consciousness, that is Atma, and that is I. Consciousness is I. That's how in Nididhyasanam I always keep consciousness. Consciousness. When I say consciousness, you will try to objectify in your mind and trying to see what form consciousness has. You want to see the consciousness. You want to hear. Suppose if you have that kind, you will not have definitely. But then that is I. Consciousness is I. What you experience is definitely non-I. Well, it is basically non-I. First you should say that. And then you should see you are just a consciousness which is invariably present in all experiences. Invariably present, any experience. Experience of a waking state, and experience of a dream, and experience of a deep sleep. All experiences invariably proves. I mean, all experiences imply the consciousness. And therefore consciousness is invariably present. So I is invariably present in all experiences. Well, and without me, there is no experience. And if there is no experience, how will you prove the creation? How will you prove creation is? Creation is implies consciousness is. And therefore, this is how, anyway, this is by the way, but the causal body, that is ignorance, is anirvachyam. And cause being like this, the effect also, whatever is there from this cause, has the property of the cause only. And therefore, creation, the effect also is anirvachyam. You cannot call creation is self-existent, because the same waking world gets dropped along with the waking time and waking space. Everything drops off. Then dream time, space and dream objects, all they appear. That also go away. And therefore, you cannot call self-existent. What is self-existent cannot be negated. And therefore, if this creation can be negated, and then definitely it is not a self-existent. Well, then it is non-existent. No, it is not non-existent. You are experiencing right now. And therefore, the whole creation also is, you cannot call categorically, it is Sat or Asat. And therefore, it is called Anirvachyam. The cause also, ignorance also is of that kind. But Swamiji, it is cause of these two bodies. Why are you extending? But I am telling you, ultimately, avidya or Maya, we are going to say it's one. If avidya and Maya are one, then why you are saying two words? There is a difference also. But in terms of, and sometimes we interchange the words because of certain characteristics which are very, very similar between avidya and Maya. And the difference, etc., also has been shown in Panchadashi chapter 1 between Maya and Avidya. So that's another thing. But basically, we can, in many ways, we can call Avidya as a Maya or Maya as Avidya. And therefore, Anirvachyam, Nirvaktum Ayogyaha, Anirvachyaha, Nirvaktum Ayogyaha. I mean, you cannot categorically define it. Categorical appreciation is not there of the creation as well as of the ignorance. So that is how Anirvachyam. Then it is said, Nirvikalpaka Rupam. This avidya is a Nirvikalpaka Rupam. Means, until avidya generates something. What avidya generates, it's called Vikalpa. And therefore, basically this ignorance, unless it generates something, Vikalpas are generated. Before that, well, it is free from any kind of a division, which is called Nirvikalpaka Rupam. Pure ignorance, when any product of ignorance is not there, except the erroring, that is the product. Confusion is a product. If it is not there, is called avidya. That is, in Mandukya, it is called Vastu Agrahanam. Vastu Agrahanam. Basically, what you say like this, Agrahanam means you say, I don't know the self. Well, that's fine. That's called ignorance. Vastu Agrahanam. Therefore, if you say that I am so and so, then all the vikalpas, divisions have arisen, errors have arisen. But before that, when ignorance doesn't give rise to any product, then we call it as a vastu agrahanam. That is the avidya. That's a pure ignorance. It doesn't generate anything. And when it generates the error, etc., that's called anyatha grahanam. Anyatha grahanam. So you take yourself other than what you are. Anyatha means other than what you are. You take yourself. Grahanam means you take yourself. You understand yourself. You recognize yourself as other than what you are. That's called anyatha grahanam. That's an error. Anyatha grahanam is an error. Agrahanam is just ignorance, pure ignorance. And well, this kind of experience also we have, non-recognition of the Vastu or Atma is there. In deep sleep state also it is there. Very well, you say that I don't know I don't know anything, I don't know even myself. In waking state, whatever you are saying, all these vikalpas, I'm Sukhi, Dukhi, etc., human being, this, that, and I'm Indian, whatever. So all this, you say, well, all these vikalpas, divisions, what you talk about, they are not there in deep sleep state. You talk about in waking state, but those divisions are not there. So naturally in a deep sleep state, you are since you don't know yourself and there is no division, so we can say the ignorance is nirvikalpaka rupam. That's one experience we can talk about, that is a deep sleep state, and where there is no division. And then also there are situations where there is no division, and you are able to resolve the division, the difference. Division means here difference, in what we call in Sanskritam as a dvaitam. That's all it means, dvaitam. So the dvaitam is called vikalpaha. So in certain situations also, this dvaitam of knower known or vikalpa of knower known, well, they resolve. In a waking state where you generally find a knower and known are different, but those divisions resolve in a certain moment of joy, etc. Well, so this knower known difference is gone for the time being. Well, so then definitely you are there, but no division. Well, no division. So knower known division is not there. In moment of joy, well, then you are there. Then you should say that Atma is self is free from division. Why are you calling ignorance is self free from division? Why ignorance is nirvikalpaka rupam? As if you are saying ignorance has no dvaitam, and instead Atma has no dvaitam. Atma is Advaita Swarupa. Well, that's correct. But then basically Atma and ignorance both are there. In a moment of joy, you both are there. Otherwise you will say, I have Atma Sakshatkara. Swamiji, I am Ananda Swarupaha. You will say immediately. But instead you say this particular object, well, I am experiencing and so it is giving me the joy. Oh, then it is proven that ignorance also is there. Definitely. In a moment of joy, when you say the object is a source of happiness and not I am the source of happiness, then ignorance also is present. Definitely. So even though there are no divisions, but ignorance and Atma both are there. And therefore, ignorance also is nirvikalpaka rupam. Otherwise, ignorance has a vikalpa, you will experience with a vikalpa. You will experience Atma with vikalpa, but you don't experience any vikalpa. All the vikalpas are gone. But Swamiji, I can't appreciate this knower known division resolves and all that. In just a flame of consciousness, this both resolve. Well, I don't appreciate it. But at least you appreciate that you, that is I, is free from limitations in the moment of joy. That much you know. That much you know that at that moment, you don't have any dependence. You don't have any, any lack. You don't have any discomfort. All these are one word only. Basically, it is called shoka. This shoka does not mean just a sorrow. It's just sorrow. This sorrow is a very, very technical word. It's a paribhashik shabda. And sorrow means all this. A discomfort within. A uneasiness all the time. That is a shruti. That's a shruti of Carnatic music. It goes on and on. Whatever you do. But this doesn't go. Sometime in moment of joy, this drops. Discomfort is dropped. And somebody came and 1 minute. So in moment of joy, it is dropped. So centered on yourself, if you don't feel any lack, any discomfort, any uneasiness, any limitation, well, then that is the moment of joy. That's the moment of joy. If you are aware of your limitation, and at the same time having a joy, well, It cannot, it is not possible. Therefore, I am saying that you are there, but you don't feel any division. If any division you don't feel, then definitely this so-called division of knower known, other than in moment of joy you are experiencing, they have gone. Knower known division creates both are limited. Knower is a limited, known also is limited. And therefore, if you feel yourself without any limitation in a moment of joy, definitely these divisions have resolved. That's what we mean. Don't try to think that this known has come into me or something like that. Nothing of that sort. Known doesn't enter into you in the body. Nothing of that sort. But so-called division, well, definitely creates a sense of limitation, and that in moment of joy it is gone. But at the same time, you don't know yourself limitless. And therefore, we say ignorance also is present. So division is also not there, but ignorance and consciousness, the Atma is there. Therefore, ignorance is nirvikalpaka rupa. Could you follow now? So this is how we say, how beautifully it has been told, you see. Nirvikalpaka rupam. Then there is a third thing. I have given you first a experience of a deep sleep. Then I have given you experience of a joy. Everywhere you can see the presence of a ignorance as a division free, nirvikalpaka rupam. The third one also, well, you do if you do a japa etc., well, you find that between two thoughts there is a gap, and you can create a gap between two thoughts through japa. There is no other way. There is no other way. Otherwise, because the thoughts are all linked together. When you are standing on a, on the crossroads in a car, you are there waiting for the green signal, and and you see in your front another car, and there is a symbol of that Mercedes symbol, and you see, and in your mind the Mercedes car has come, and from there the second thought is about the Mercedes company, and then from Germany, and from Germany to pandemic situation and German chancellor, and from there to and by the time the backside, the person gives a horn that please go, I have to go. So this is how between the thoughts there is some link. That's how we call it as a channel. It's a channel, and it goes from one thought to the endless thought with certain connection. You have to break the connection. If you break the connection, you know the gap. Between two thoughts, you have to break connection. And the best technique of breaking the connection is japa. How can this japa? Bhagavan disconnects it or what? No. Well, every japa you have to take a small mantra. Don't take like Gayatri. Because you start with the mantra, and by the time you complete even once, your mind has gone somewhere else. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha, Om Tat Savitur. By the time the mind has gone somewhere else. And so the base thing is you should choose a very short mantra. Like Om Namah Shivaya, etc. So Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Definitely see in your mind that particular thought arises in terms of a word. So therefore, those words you are giving rise with a thought. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. And therefore, the same type of a thought, same type of a chant, give rise to same type of a thought. And then if the same type of thought is there is no connection. What is the connection between Om Namah Shivaya thought and another Om Namah Shivaya thought? What is the connection? Both are independent. Both are independent. And initially you will not be able to create even that also. I am telling you, people who are doing, definitely, it takes some time, definitely. But initially you have to chant. Take 27 times or something. But Swamiji, we have not asked you for advising this thing. Anyway, I am one who gives advice without. So, Om Namah Shivaya, chant 27 times. Don't keep any gap. Don't keep any gap. One after the other, one after the other, one after the other. Let your mind get acquainted with this thought. A single thought, but same type of a thought getting repeated. And then, after some time, now between two Om Namah Shivaya, keep a break. You will be able to try it. you will be able to keep it. And when that gap arises, that's a beauty. That's a beauty. I mean, you are there without thought. If thought is there, you get reflected in the thought, and therefore you as the thought arises, the reflection also arises. Then it is just a ahankara. Between two thoughts, there is a silence. Well, there is nothing. Then what is there? You say that there is nothing. That somebody must be there to experience nothing. That nothing experience is by Sakshi. That is the Sakshi. But Swamiji, I don't know it. Yeah, ignorance also is there. Ignorance also is there. Very well, ignorance is there. And therefore, between two thoughts also, well, no vikalpa. No. But Swamiji, I would like to know, you said you are silence. Yeah, what is that? Between two thoughts, you are there. And silence is there. Oh, Swamiji, but I objectify the silence. But other than you, there is nothing else. How will you objectify silence? So, you are silence. Between two thoughts, you are there. There is nothing else. No, but silence, I cannot be an object. See, if silence is an object, you will have a thought. How will you objectify something without a thought? Please show me. How will you objectify anything without a thought? And so between two thoughts, in the gap, even the thought is not there and still silence is there. And you, the witness, Atma, consciousness is there. Well, consciousness is silence. Understand this? And therefore, try to take this thing. Well, you say I consciousness is there, then there is no ignorance. Therefore, then there is only consciousness. But you experience the gap between two thoughts, but still you are not able to appreciate the witness consciousness there. Well, the ignorance is there. And therefore, ignorance and consciousness are there. Therefore, that gap reveals no vikalpa, no division. And all the divisions are created by thought. If thought is absent, mind is absent, no division. No division. But how Swamiji, this division arises even with the help of mind? Because as the mind, awakes, the very first thing is I thought arises. And I thought arises, and that is also, and the Atma gets, unconsciousness gets reflected, and then idam thought also arises. In the same mind, knower known division arises. Same mind. And when the mind resolves, in deep sleep, knower known both resolves. Known also resolves, that's your experience. Knower also resolves. So, when mind absent, knower known absent. Mind present, knower known present, means mind has created division. Knower known division created by aham vritti, idam vritti. And both ultimately both are getting reflected, both are getting the reflection of consciousness, and therefore known also. Well, known, any known thing is illumined because of consciousness. Through idam vritti. And even ahankara is known. I am a conscious, you say. Well, you are a knower. Definitely you are a conscious being. And therefore, even aham vritti also is with a reflected consciousness. And idam vritti also with a reflected consciousness. Basically, mind itself is such a thing, like a mirror in which the consciousness gets reflected. And that is how the division, known division, is always in terms of a vritti, in thought. When thoughts are not there, created artificially by you through the japa, well, definitely in that gap, division is not there. But you don't appreciate yourself at that moment. You appreciate the absence, but you don't appreciate that yourself. Like the person to whom I asked in Ahmedabad, that in monsoon we get heavy rains. I think I gave you this example, I don't know. And I tell the person who, in a particular area where I take a class, then I tell a person who stays nearby that go and check somebody had come, because the rain is there, many people won't come. Then I won't start from the ashram. I will not come there. You please go and check. And he says, and he opens the room where I take a class, and then he, in the middle of the room, he stands and calls me through the mobile. Swamiji, nobody is there. Don't come. Nobody is there. Oh sir, nobody is there minus you. So Otherwise, how will you tell me the absence? To tell the absence, to have an experience of an absence, you are right there. So there is nothing between the two thoughts. Sir, you are there to experience. So, but I don't know that I am there. Okay, ignorance is there. So there also self plus ignorance, self plus ignorance. No division, no thought. So ignorance is nirvilkaka rupam. This is a third experience. So these three ways we can definitely say. And but Swamiji, if ignorance goes, then what? Well, then definitely thought is there, Atma is there. Thought is not there, Atma is there. What I'm saying, you know what it is? Actually, Puja Swamiji says that this beautiful thing. Thought is there, Atma is there. Thought is not there, Atma is there. In absence of ignorance. That is what? See, if ignorance is there, then whatever mind is there, definitely that mind becomes a reality for you. And you won't say the mind is basically non-separate from the consciousness, etc. Thought is non-separate from the consciousness. You won't say. That's how thought threatens you. Any thought threatens you. Born of you and threatens you. This is how it is. In absence of ignorance, in absence of knowledge, any thought threatens you. No thought threatens you. How can it? This is mithya. Well, then you have a knowledge. You have knowledge. No, Swamiji, this particular thought really, I'm how to get rid of these thoughts? How to get rid of thought of fear and this and that? Why? It is born of you, it is mithya, it is non-separate from you. Yeah? What are you talking? What are you talking? Oh, ignorance is there. Could you follow? So therefore, this is the beauty of the thing is, see, you have to take the example of a pot and clay. Pot is there, clay is there. Pot is not there, clay is there. Means even when the pot is there, actually that is a clay. That's the thing. So even when the thought is there, consciousness is there. Means this thought is non-separate from the consciousness. It is arisen from the consciousness and illumines in the light of consciousness. Definitely illumines in the light of consciousness. The very existence of the thought is because of the consciousness being non-separate. And therefore, whole thought world, whole mind is mithya. And therefore, let the mind be there as it is. If maybe some like is there, let the like be. Maybe some dislike is there, and dislike thought is there for somebody, let it be there. If once it turns a garbage, let the garbage be garbage. Don't try to decorate the garbage. Well, garbage box at least. Or that garbage, that plastic, that bag, don't try to decorate. Let it be there. That's a beauty. Don't try throughout the life. People keep trying and trying to modify the mind, That's okay, you modify, no problem. But don't equate yourself with the mind. Mind is simply a mithya thing. It's just one form of a consciousness. It's like the pot is just one form of a clay. There is a reality, is just a clay. So pot is clay, pot is not clay, thought is consciousness, thought is not consciousness, same thing. And therefore don't equate yourself, don't evaluate, judge yourself based on a thought. Whole world is pagal, is mad. Really. There are thousands and thousands of techniques are there. Thousands and thousands. Because consciousness is one reality, that is me, and the thought is another reality. And there is always some fight going on between them. And you want to get rid of them. You want to defeat them. And in the process, so many techniques have evolved. Starting from transcendental meditation of Arvinda, and through this what Arvind Ghosh has given as a transcendental meditation, the Harvard professor has learned from him, and now he has given a new name. That's how Rajiv Malhotra has beautifully told in a book called U-Turn. They learn from you, they change the terms, and they again give back to you. This is how it is going on. We feel this, the Harvard professor must have been given his new technique of meditation. It is all Arvind Ghosh. Rajiv Malhotra is all verified. Anyway, what I am saying is, So many techniques are going on. So many techniques. The baseline is the mind is a reality, and consciousness also is a reality. That is I also is a reality, and therefore once you take it as a real, you cannot accept in a certain mode. You have to change it. I mean, you have to make it conducive to you. And mind being what it is, it doesn't remain conducive. It's so subtle, it won't catch. I mean, you cannot catch hold of it. You can catch hold of your body. You can modify, you can twist your body to an extent, but you cannot modify this mind. So this technique ultimately starting from japa can lead you to the knowledge of the self. Anyway, this is how. So basically ignorance, if ignorance is there between two thoughts, well, it is nirvikalpaka rupam, and atma of course is a nirvikalpa rupam, and also it reveals a very beautiful thing. Well, that ignorance and atma can remain together means one thing is, that ignorance is not opposed to the consciousness, that is I. That's all it means. When both can live together, then they are not like light and darkness. Light and darkness cannot live together. But if ignorance and consciousness can remain together from the experience of deep sleep state, or from the experience of a joy, or from the experience of a gap between the two thoughts, etc. Well, if I appreciate that both can live together, well, definitely they are not opposed to each. I mean, ignorance is not opposed to consciousness, or consciousness is not opposed to ignorance. What a big deal, Swamiji. What do you want to prove in this? What do you want to prove? Because consciousness means jnana swarupa, and ignorance means ajnanam. So you say, Swamiji, how can ignorance can remain in a jnana swarupa atma? They can remain. They can remain. If opposite thing can remain together, it indicates they are of different reality. That's the thing. They are of a different reality. So if ignorance is real, then the consciousness is basically imagination. Or if I am the reality, well, ignorance is a mithya thing. I am not saying ignorance is imagination here. Ignorance has a vyavharik reality. That's how it created a vyavharik world. And we have created these bodies, let's say that way. Let us keep ourselves limited to this body. Ignorance is a karana matram. Karana shariram is a karana matram of these two bodies which are vyavharikam. Subtle body is also vyavharikam. How do you say, Swamiji, it is vyavharikam? Because the means of knowledge called inference proves it. You cannot see the subtle body. Perception cannot help. And therefore that's how if you remember, I told you any indriya is atindriya. Any sense organ cannot be picked up by the sensor, that particular sensor. Sense organ can pick up every other thing other than itself. And therefore, whole subtle body generally is, except breathing, etc. But other things you have to infer. Swamiji, breathing is perceptible. Okay. But other than breathing, there are several functions, circulation, etc., digestion, etc. Well, everything ultimately, few of the functions you have to imagine. I mean, you have to infer. And therefore, if it is available for the means of knowledge, well, it has a certain reality. Its reality is called Vyavarika. For the transaction, it is there. Therefore, subtle body which is Vyavarika and the gross body which is Vyavarika definitely is born of the cause. Ignorance also is Vyavarika. But it's not a reality as such. It is not as a reality because the ignorance itself is dependent upon the self. How do you say it is dependent? Because they go together. Then let them go together if both of the equal reality. No. Because one is jnana sarupam and this is ajnana. They cannot remain together. If they remain together, then definitely they are of a different reality. They are of a different reality. And different reality means one is just a mithya thing, other is a satya thing. What is mithya is non-separate from the satya. So ignorance also is non-separate from the satyam, atma. And this is how we can say, it's a beautiful thing. You will find an argument. Some person will come and argue with you. You say there is a self-ignorance, but the self is a jnana swarupam. How can ignorance remain in that? You can give this answer to them. You need not give it. It's for our own clarity when you can say. Anyway, So if somebody says that let all these thoughts etc. go away, and then only when pure consciousness remains, and then I want to experience that pure consciousness, well then the whole mind has to go. Well, to mind will go, then along with all sense organs also will go. Prana also will go. And then when they go out, the experiencer itself will not remain. And therefore, don't try to imagine that I want to experience the pure consciousness. Well, you are pure consciousness. What you are experiencing is also just a form, a so-called seemingly existent form. That's all. Of what? Of this consciousness. And therefore even consciousness plus thought is there. Consciousness plus thought is equal to consciousness. Consciousness plus sound thought, consciousness. Consciousness plus, form thought, consciousness. Any mithya thing cannot add anything. That's how we know. 100 gram gold plus 10 bangles is equal to how many gold? Well, definitely it's 100 gram only. And therefore, whatever mithya is there, do not add anything. If I am there and there are 10 mirrors around me, and there are 10 images are there, 10 images are there, how many cups of coffee you will bring? Definitely you will bring one. You are not counting. You should at least bring 11. That's 11 Swamis are sitting. You should bring 11 cups, but you don't bring. You bring one. So wise, you are Vedanta. And therefore, even one Swami plus another 10 Swamis, you won't bring, only you bring one. Mithya is not counted. That's how you are able to, that is the self-knowledge in which even the mind does not remain opposed. You are comfortable with the mind, thinking that whatever the thought is ultimately a seemingly real, seemingly existent form of consciousness. That is how it is. Therefore, if the pot remains or pot breaks, you don't mind. Once you know it is clay, you don't mind whether it is there or not. You don't bother about it. Anyway, so when did the consciousness become impure? Oh, thoughts make them impure, and so remove the thoughts, and nothing, no, don't do anything. When the water has become impure, remove the waves, remove all the waves, and then water remains pure. Don't worry at all. Know that the wave is nothing but a form of, it's a mithya thing, and it's a form of water only. Even there is a wave, well, that wave is nothing but water only. So, same way, any kind of a waves, thoughts are there, let there be there. Let there be there. I am not at all disturbed. Why? How can I be disturbed with a mithya thing? I am not disturbed of a mithya snake if I know it is mithya. Well, I don't get fear at all. So same way, you can assimilate the knowledge. This is the assimilation of knowledge, where even the mind is consumed in the consciousness. Whole mind is consumed. Why? The whole world is consumed. Everything is myself. Well, then everything is myself, but this mind is not myself. It's an enemy to me. Oh, then it takes time. Don't worry. It takes time. But even the thoughts and minds are also pervaded by me alone. They are just mithya forms of me. Therefore, there is no need of changing the mind. After certain years of study, one should give up, drop the idea of, bringing some kind of a change in the mind and equating your liberation or moksha with that state of the mind. People are really becoming mad for that. And they feel that this knowledge is not working. They are saying that. They tell to the Swamis also, who are teaching since many years, they tell them only that this knowledge is not working. Even though they are jnani, they know this. What I am saying right now, I am sure that many of you, most of you must be knowing. Most of you. But you may be assimilating knowledge, but what I am saying is our own sadhakas, basically, they always equate in terms of mind. I know everything. I know I am free, but I have raga dvesha. See, this is, that's a different, this orientation has not come. What the amount, in the degree it has to come, it has not come. Chalo, anyway, so this is my for Karana Shariram or Avidya we have discussed, because this is the bread and butter of Vedanta, I tell you. If you cannot prove this Avidya, etc., Vedanta cannot stand. So people try to assault this Avidya, etc. And one of the argument is this: if Atma is Jnana Swarupam, consciousness, how can ignorance be there? How can ignorance remains along with that? It can remain. It can remain. No problem. So Anirvachyam, so Ajnanam, that denies knowledge of the nature of the self, well, it is Anirvachyam, which means it cannot be categorically stated as real or unreal. I am summing up now. And its beginning cannot be arrived at. Well, it is Anadi. And therefore, the Jiva who tries to know, this is another question, yes. The Jiva, wherever I go, the one question is there. Why ignorance is there? Why there is ignorance? The Jiva cannot find the cause of ignorance, because being a product of ignorance. Jiva himself is a product of ignorance. How will he find the cause of ignorance? Could you follow what I am saying? If my cause is ignorance, then basically how will I find the cause of the ignorance itself? It's impossible. And therefore drop that idea. Do you experience ignorance or not? Yeah, I experience ignorance. By shrugging the shoulders or by shaking your head. Whatever the way you express. Well, definitely. So we are not exploring to know what ignorance is. We are exploring what we are ignorant of. That's all our answer is. Ignorance is there. It's anadi. And well, definitely, why there is ignorance you don't tell. Ignorance is there, and what you are ignorant of, that's a matter of concern. Here, ignorance of self, and it created self-confusions, and those but how